Welcome back to another episode. I am Sticks. This is my best friend and co-host D-Lo, and we are too complex. Happy 4th of July weekend to everybody. But before we get into the content, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and hit that notification bell so you miss none of these bangers that we
Yes,
drop
sir.
every single week. And,
And
we
we
back,
back.
D-Lo. And we back, man. How was your week, my boy?
Hey, man, my week was good. Got some time to spend. First off, got some days off this week. Finally decided to take some time off away from work just to recuperate. Going into the fourth weekend. Got some time with the homeboys here playing golf and, just chilling. Always spending time with the family.
My boy,
So-
Tiger Hoods.
I ain't even Tiger Hoods, bro. I'm terrible at golf, but I enjoy playing it. But yeah, spending time with the family as usual, just chilling. Not to tell too much about what we do here, but we did make a nice investment,
And I'm jealous.
We've been taking full advantage of that investment.
Boy, I'm jealous, boy.
Yeah.
Man, listen, if I was in NC, bro, I promise you I would have that with y'all and go with y'all every time y'all go, because I promise you that I'm jealous of that investment, boy. But y'all taking full advantage for real, and I'm telling you, I'm mad about that thing.
Yeah, we are. But, other than that, everything's going well. No real complaints from me. You'll probably never hear me complain too much. So, but, how about you, man? How's things going for you for the last week?
Man, everything is going well, man. I'm getting to spend a lot more time with Sam now because school is finally out. I swear Washington be in school for forever, dog. Like, she was in school till I think the 21st or 22nd. So it's like
Of June?
they're in school long for June, bro. That's why she couldn't come with me.
When did they start school?
They start school in September, so they start school a little bit later too.
Okay.
Yeah, because everybody else start in August, like mid to late August. She starts mid to late September, so that's probably why. But getting to spend a lot more time with her now that it's summer break, so she's been with me all week this week, which has been amazing. I love spending time with my daughter, man. And bro, she's driving now, D-Lo. I know you've seen the story.
I did.
Never seen the story,
I shed a tear, bro. I shed a tear when I saw that. I shed a tear because. Not that I was in the waiting room or anything, but I did, I watched her grow up. I saw when she came. Did I see when she came home?
I think so. She was like, well, she came to North Carolina around my birthday in 2008. So she was about, I would say, 5 months old at the time?
Okay,
so you watched her grow up. You watched her grow up for sure,
bro. And it's just like, man, now to see the woman that she's becoming, to see her drive, to see her artistic skills on display, it's just like, man, a couple things. We getting old, and then the kids grow up fast, bro.
They do, man. Because I remember holding that little girl like a football in my arm, bro. Like when she was so small, bro. And I actually saw her come out I saw her peek up out that thing. So now that she right here on my shoulder, about 5'8", 5'9", and she, grown into a woman and driving, and she's so smart and intellectual, man, and she's so artistic and creative. Bro, it's like, enjoy those younger days, man, because before you know it, Dylan gonna be looking at you like, "What's up, pops?" You know what I'm saying?
Who?
To my Dalen, my bad, my nephew. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I meant. You know what I meant.
Nah, I don't know. Dalen,
bro. Dalen gonna be looking at you like, "What's up, pops?" Like, "What's good with you?" Let's go. I need my one-on-ones. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but
he gonna get the ones and twos.
He gonna get the hands and feet.
Yeah.
He gonna get the hands and feet. But man, they do grow up fast, man. So everybody whose parents out there, man, cherish them while it lasts, man, because they grow up like weeds, bro. They grow like weeds, and it's a beautiful thing to see. But whenever they become independent, they don't need you. Know what? You be looking like, well, you sure you don't need that? Like I be talking to Sam sometimes, like, you sure you don't need that? Like, you sure you good?
Right.
All right, do your thing. But it's been amazing, man. I'm just trying to make sure I navigate the next steps in life, man, and make sure everything is going well. But other than that, man, I am amazing, bro. Everything is great, bro.
That's what's up.
To get into the content today, bro, Squid Games, dog. So
Squid Games.
owner, the creator of Squid Games is not getting any residual for the first season that has made Netflix $1 billion, and he sold his creativity, his rights to the show for $150,000. D-Lo, how do you feel about Squid Games, bro, and the creator not getting no bread on the back end?
Well, I watch Squid Games, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know how people are gonna take this. I wasn't too impressed with it. I mean, it was all right, but it wasn't like, oh yeah, you gotta watch Squid Games. I won't telling multiple people to watch Squid Games. Somebody asked me, oh, what should I watch? I'm not gonna say Squid Games.
Mhm.
But in this regard, as to Netflix making over $1 billion or reportedly making over $1 billion on the show itself, and then the creator only making 150,000 from it, you got to protect your IP at all times,
All times.
and yourself at all times, because major corporations, they will find a way to screw the little man over.
Mhm.
If it's in the name of profits for them, they'll find a way to screw you over. And I don't know how Netflix reports or how they know based off of one individual show out of the whole catalogs of different shows that they have on that platform, how the pinpoint, oh, the revenue is coming from this show specifically. But this guy is only getting, or did get, not even a percentage of what Netflix has made from the actual content that he allowed them to take. So I don't know. Hindsight's 2020. I guess
Always.
he would probably, have negotiated more money on the back end, or even negotiated for more money on the front end. However he wanted to do it, it's a give and take with this. Either you going to get more money on the front end, like a Chris Rock who signed 40 million for his collection of stand-up shows, like a Kevin
Mhm.
Hart, like those type of individuals. And I know we're talking about celebrities in this instance, but even still, $150,000 compared to $1 billion is pennies, literally pennies to Netflix. They could have gave him a little bit more, but like I was saying, it's a give and pull. Either you're going to negotiate for more money on the back end or on the front end and not really worry about what's to come on the back end, or you're going to say, all right, you want to give me 150,000, cool. I want a percentage of whatever is to come on the back end. So you got to protect your IP at all costs.
Got
Intellectual
to, man.
property is what IP is too.
Right. Got to, man, because the creator of Squid Games, his name is Wang Young Duck, and he claims to be good. You know what I'm saying? Who knows if he has any other creative things out there, any other movies or any other plays or whatever creative things that he has out there. And who knows, man? Maybe he did try to go to these broadcast networks. So say, for instance, like what they were saying in the report that I read was that most streaming networks aren't giving many residuals, but broadcast networks like cable TV and things like that nature are usually a lot more apt to give more residual on the back end to the creators of the shows that they bring onto their networks. But it's got to come to a thing where he say he good, he say the 150,000, he say he not rich, but he's comfortable, he's got food on the table, clothes on his back, roof over his head, he's straight. So who's to say that he doesn't have other projects out there? But you got to be able to negotiate better to save your creative mind, yo. Like this Squid Games, and I'm a little bit different from D-Lo. I loved Squid Games. At one point, it was Squid Games and Stranger Things. That's all I was watching on Netflix at one point.
So two shows I do not care anything about. My wife wants me to watch Stranger Things so bad.
Was
I'm like, I'm not watching
so
that.
fire, bro. And the crazy thing is, I haven't watched it. They got 4 seasons of Stranger Things out now, and I ain't watched the last 2 seasons. I watched up to season 2. I don't watch much TV. If it ain't sports, I don't watch it. But
yeah,
like, you got to be able to negotiate more for your creative mind, because they have made $1 billion off of your show. And for you not to get anything, not even 2, 3, 4, 5% on the back end of your creativity is crazy to me. And not to mention, they done made $1 billion off of season 1, which was a hit to a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? Maybe not D-Lo, but to a lot of people, it was a hit. You know what I'm saying? But to a lot of people, it was a hit. People are anticipating season 2. So who's to say that this is not going to make them 2, 3, 4 more $1 billion from season 2, and you're not going to get none of that bread, bro? Like, that to me is crazy, because if you think about it, he's literally only made 1% of what Netflix made. Because
not
150,000
even
is
1%, bro.
well, 1% of $1 million is 100,000. So, 10% of $1 million is 100,000. So that means 1% of $1 billion is 100,000.
Not
You
what
sure?
my calculations showed me. Like $1 billion is hard to fathom,
Now
bro.
you're
Like,
right. You're right. You're right. You're right. Now
yeah,
I'm tripping. I'm bugging
$1
out.
billion
Me and
is
my
hard to
math
fathom.
degree done failed
Yeah,
me, nigga.
yeah.
He didn't
A
even get that one. He didn't
percentage,
even. You're right. He didn't
yeah, a
even get that.
percentage of $1
You are
billion is
absolutely
$10
right.
million.
Nah, facts. 1% is 10 million. You are absolutely right. And he didn't even get that. He got
You didn't get that.
0.0000000 some zeros is in front of that one, nigga. So he
Yeah.
didn't get no percentage. So you absolutely right. But bruh, like to not that is that is crazy. That is like something that I've never when I read this story, bro, I was like, there's no way he's not getting residual off that show. Because the show
Yeah.
was good. The show was great.
Right.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
mean, I think obviously we've never been in that situation. Well, I don't know if you've been in that situation or not, but I've never been in that situation to where somebody has come to me and said, "We like whatever you have created. Hopefully, we'll get in that situation in the future."
Hopefully.
But as of right now, we've never been in that situation, or I've never been in that situation. So I'm sure for his being his position, a guy to have a major content producing platform say, "Hey, we like your idea. We want to create it." At the time, he was ecstatic, but he had to have he had to do his due diligence, have his ducks in a row to make sure that he can really profit off of this, or benefit. I shouldn't say profit. That's a corporate term. He could really benefit from that down the line, because we always talk about, especially in our culture, we always talk about generational wealth. You talking about generational wealth?
That
this company's making $1 billion, and if they just gave you 1%, you talking about a $10 million cut. That's enough to set you up and your family up, moving forward if you do it right for at least 2 or 3 generations lifetime. So 100%. I mean, it is what it is. We are here now. It's a mishap. Hopefully he learns from it. If he is the creator if he created it once, he can create it again, and 100%. He can, benefit from it in a more better way the next time.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. So Google, where they're telling us that we're a lonely society. What's up with that?
Man, so it's funny because, just speaking for myself, I would much rather be to myself. I'm very extroverted when it comes to being out in places, and I can mingle with a bunch of different people, and my grandma called me a social butterfly back in the day, God rest her soul. But because I can talk to and I can mingle and I can, converse with a bunch of different people, because I'm not shy in any regard. But I guess it's my old age, I guess me getting older, that I would much rather honestly be in the house with my daughter, watching a movie, brew in hand, just kind of conversing with her and talking to her and spending time with her, than to be out in a crowd of people. That's just myself. But if I needed to go out and mingle with people, I could do that. Right. But the issue, what it's saying now is that what I think it is that people of this generation now lack the social skills to actually get out there and mingle with people, because the internet has taken over so crazy that you can pick up your phone and, be on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, or even dating apps like your Tinders or your Bumbles or your Plenty of Fish or whatever it is, that you can just connect with people and not need to actually see people. Now you got FaceTime, you got Skype, you got Zencaster, you can have meetings over the computer. So it's like Zoom
Google
and things
Chat,
of that nature.
Google Hangout. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's like they don't need to go outside their house. Plus, you can get food, groceries. You got Amazon where you can get all your electronics and your clothes and all. You got so many different delivery services to where you don't even have to lift a finger to get anything delivered to your door. So it's a product of the internet. It's a product of technology, man. That's exactly what it is to me. What you think, D-Lo?
So the thing is it's funny that you mention the generation and the different technologies they can take advantage of to communicate with each other. And we've built up such a catalog of content now that we can reference reference segments and topics that we've discussed in the past. And there's been, I can't remember the exact topic, but I do know that you and I have discussed that our generation was really the generation, later, a little bit later or midpoint of our life, since we're a little bit older, we ushered in the current internet as it is, which is called Web 2.0. It's the interaction amongst each other. We're able to add to the internet and not just look at what somebody else created. We're able to put our lives on the internet.
Right.
But really, the generation under us, all they know is the internet.
That's it.
All they know is to live their lives online. And the sad part about it is because all they know is the internet and to interact with online is when sometimes, not all of them, but a good portion of them, when they get face to face with each other, they don't know how to interact. And I think I can put myself in that category a little bit. I am kind of like you. I can, if I need to, I would 100% rather be at the house than to be out and about. But if I'm out and about, if I don't really know you, I'm not going to talk to you. But if I know you, but I can start a conversation. I can have a conversation with you if I don't know you.
Mm-hmm.
But if I know you, it's like, man, listen, you think I'm an extrovert, but if I don't know you, you think I'm maybe a little bit stuck up. But that's not the case whatsoever. But anyway, what I was going to say about this whole situation is, we talk about the article at face value is the loneliness of society. But really, I think the real story is going to be, or should be, how we voluntarily give these technology companies all of our data to then tell us what is wrong with us. It's like we're allowing AI, which is a hot button topic right now, button, it's all everywhere you go, you hear AI, somebody's talking about AI. We're scared of AI, whatever. This AI is great. It's not great. Drake is singing on songs and it's not really Drake and all that shit. But, we're allowing AI to tell us, because this person in Washington State is searching for where to find people to meet, and this person in North Carolina is also saying the same thing, and then in Florida and California and South Dakota and North Dakota, they're saying the same things. This society is lonely. I mean, it's just crazy, man. I think that is really, to tie into what you said about the generation below us not really having the social skills, but then also to tie into that is, we're all voluntarily giving out information and data to these tech companies to tell us what is wrong with us, which then is subconsciously put in our brain to really think something is wrong with us. And it's not. This is nothing new. For the longest, since the internet was put out, we've been looking for where to communicate and where to connect with somebody else that is like-minded, or to where we can create relationships with them.
Yeah, but the relationships are not being created online because, I game and I got online friends that I'm really, really cool with, you know what I'm saying? And they're not best friends. They're not like me and D-Lo. We ain't got, decades in the game, and I wouldn't call them my brothers, but at the same time, it's like, they're cool. I converse with them online. I've never met them in person, but they cool as shit. And my daughter the same way, like, got friends online that she calls her best friends that she's never met in person, that are, out of the state, some of them out of the country that she's never met in person. And it's taking away that face to face, person to person aspect, man, because you need that human interaction. You need that human contact. You know what I'm saying? Like, you need, somebody to hug every once in a while, to talk to every once in a while, to sit down face to face once in a while and make memories with. And you're not able to do that online. You're not able to do that at all. But you have these groups, and I know you mentioned something earlier, D-Lo. You have these groups online like Facebook, and Instagram, where you can talk in groups. And you were saying something about, the community is trying to get people together before, you know what I'm saying? And I bear the question though, like, does that, with these groups and the interaction online, and, people are, they're more apt to speak their mind or be able to communicate more whenever they're writing stuff down or putting stuff in the text box. And you can more likely convey yourself a little bit better and talk better whenever whenever you're not face to face with somebody, because people have a fear of either rejection or a fear of, making the wrong first impression. Right. So wouldn't that make it easier for these groups to bring community together, like people that make it easy for them to interact online and then say, okay, cool, you seem like a cool person. Let's meet up. Let's all of us meet up together and kind of see what's up. Wouldn't that make it easy? Wouldn't the internet make it easy for that?
Yeah, in theory it would, but there's a couple of things that you have to factor into that, and to why you would be hampered, or an individual would be hampered from actually going through with meeting up with somebody. The first one would be the impression thing, right? So yeah, you're talking to somebody online via the internet. I just said talking about, but you're talking to somebody online. You have the ability to write something. Oh, that doesn't look right. Oh, that doesn't sound right. Edit it and make it sound and read how you want it to read to give off the best impression. You don't have the ability to do that when you're face to face with somebody. You have to think on the fly and actually respond to somebody and have a conversation that's going to go back and forth. Whereas online, the issue is it is to be expected that there's going to be a delay in in the response of a question that somebody's going to ask you. Right. Mm-hmm. So then you have that factor. The second factor is also, well, what if this isn't the person that I'm talking to? And what if I meet them and they end up either being not what I expected, or they be somebody that's going to put my life in danger? So you have those two aspects.
So yeah, I definitely, I'm glad you brought that up, because I was definitely going to bring up the fact of catfishing. People had a whole show about catfishing. There was some seasons where Neve was out here doing his thing as far as catching catfishes, and people are putting people's life in danger. Like, people are literally online building relationships and building rapport with people, and they're going to meet them and getting robbed. So it is that too. But
our first episode was about Manti Te'o and him being catfished.
Exactly, and him being catfished. Exactly, because life is online now, man. Life is literally on the internet, and it's crazy because we're taking away that social aspect, that human interaction. And I was talking to Sam, like, bro, like, what if the government said no in the internet for a week? All of the internet service providers are shut down for a week. What would we do? Like, what would we literally do? And nobody can answer that, because everything is so reliant on Wi-Fi and internet and being to go check things on social media and this, that, and the third, and being able to post and be somebody who you're not, and try to show the best, the best parts of life, and see what this person's doing, see what that person's doing. And like, if we took away the internet and people were forced to be social outside of the house, it would be, I don't even know how to even explain that, because I don't think people will be able to live in that kind of society no more.
Well, we better practice.
We better
because they're predicting, and this could be conspiracy also, but there has been some predictions that the internet could get knocked out for a couple of months because of a solar flare. So
we better figure it out.
We're going to have to figure it out soon.
We have to figure something out, because that's going to be crazy. But moving on to the next topic, man. So in Colorado, right, there was a young lady who does websites, and she denied a website to a LGBTQ couple that was trying to get married. And she actually took it to court and used her First Amendment right to actually discriminate, I'll put that in quotes, discriminate against this couple to not do work for them. And the court actually let her, she won the court case. So how do you feel about people using their First Amendment right to discriminate against groups of people, D-Lo?
Well, I can't speak to the First Amendment rights, but what I can speak to is I don't really condone discrimination of any kind. Now I can't say, because you never can say never. I can never say that I have never discriminated against somebody, and I can never say that I will never discriminate against somebody, because you don't know how you will be in a situation. But who I am today, and as far as my recollection remembers, is I've never discriminated against somebody. I don't condone discriminating against somebody. So this decision has me scratching my head, because the reason I'm scratching my head is because with this decision, you leave loopholes and gray area as to who can be discriminated against via the interpretation of the law. Mm-hmm. Now, I never have studied to be a lawyer or taken the exam or anything like that, but from watching various shows, lawyer shows, I know that, how a case is won is how a law is interpreted. So if a lawyer says, if a discrimination case comes up and a lawyer says, okay, well, via case number, whatever that was in Colorado, where this individual won and was able to discriminate because of this,
Right.
this is why this fits. I feel like we're going to see a lot more of those cases pop up now,
Right.
just because of this. And a big case that was passed and won this week also, which is a reflection of this or example of this, is affirmative action.
Yeah.
Now, affirmative action in itself isn't. I need to read a little bit more. It's not. Well, it is. It is focused on discrimination, but this one for the affirmative action was mainly for the admission boards of various colleges. So, with this being passed and with this case being decided in the favor to allow this web designer to be discriminated against, to discriminate against the gay couple, then I think it opens up a lot of gray area and loopholes for other groups to be discriminated against as well.
I agree, man. I definitely agree, because you leaving that door open for larger groups to be discriminated against, not just the LGBTQ community, but women, men,
Age,
different races,
disabled,
age, cultures,
disabilities.
all kind of stuff, man. So like we got to make sure we keep a grapple on what this discrimination is, man, or what discrimination is, because we don't want this to snowball into anything bigger. You know what I'm saying? We don't want that to happen. But what this young lady does is that she puts together websites for people, for different events. But this was a wedding, and she just asked the couple, what they're looking for, and she uses her own original artwork and her own original, words to create the website for them. She doesn't, have the couple to, really any input at all. They just kind of give her an idea, and she run with it. And she says that is her First Amendment right to use her creativity and her words to put this website together. And the court was like, cool. And I'm gonna read a couple of quotes from the judge that actually ruled that she could do this. Is that he said, if there's any fixed star in our constitutional constellation, it is that the government may not interfere with an uninhibited marketplace of ideas. When a state law collides with the Constitution must prevail. And then he also went on to say, the nation's answer is tolerance, not coercion. The First Amendment envisions the United States as a rich and complex place where all persons are free to think and speak as they wish, not as the government demands. But like, to me, it's like, bro, what? Because if that's the case, then you're leaving it open for. I mean, it's still alive, as Kanye said. That leaves a lot of open doors for like racism and different discrimination to go against different groups of people. So if somebody's First Amendment right is to say the hard ER, is to say the N word hard ER, that's their First Amendment right. Then you can't say the Constitution is going to prevail, because that is literally discrimination and racism in itself. So let's not open that door. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Let's not open that door, because that door can widen and it can snowball into a lot of different things. This is my interpretation of it.
And then we go backwards, as many have felt we have been doing for the last couple of years. But if you base the government's purpose off of what this Supreme Court judge said, then why do we have laws, or why do we have any type of constitutional in general? In general, because what's the purpose of the Constitution? The Constitution is there to protect. Really, is to protect the people. Now, you say it's to protect the laws, but it's to protect the people. Yep. And if you just have all types of discrimination, then what can we accomplish as a country? So you say you don't watch TV. I don't really watch TV either, but when I do watch TV, I really get into different shows. And I was watching, what was I watching? I was watching, it's the new show with on Disney with Samuel L. Jackson. Last Invasion is what it is. And within that, they're battling the humans are get ready to fight against skulls, and skulls are people from other country or other planets who can shape shift and form and look like us. So we don't really know who we're battling against. But anyway, in there, damn, I just lost my train of thought trying to give the backstory of that. But it was a piece in there. If it'll come back to me quickly, it was a piece where they were talking about the rights of individuals and Constitution. I can't think about what it is. I'm gonna have to come back to it later. But it tied into what I was getting ready to say about
Right.
If we protect that's what he said. Get back to it. Said the United States is a country that was doomed to destruct from within, and it was already on that path. We're just assisting, and they're talking about the skulls. We're just assisting them with that. So many people feel like the United States is on a path to self-destruction, and our time as the superpower is coming to an end because we can't get along with each other anymore. We can't even, and this is probably not a great place to put this, but we can't even determine. I'm not going to say, yes, I am. We can't even determine what is a male and a female anymore. We're always arguing about that. So
we can't even go outside and talk to each other no more.
We can't even go outside and talk to each other anymore.
Per the last segment, we can't even do that. But it's just crazy, bro. Because we gotta figure things out, and it's crazy because shows be telling us stuff, bro. Shows really be either predicted things like The Simpsons. You know what I'm saying? They be predicting things that's gonna happen, and just like the show that you just said, bro. Like the United States was built to self-destruct from within. That's crazy because you can literally see it. You can literally see it every single day, bro. You can literally see it every day with the different things that's going on and the different things that's happening to distract us from others that's actually happening. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of crazy. So I mean, hopefully this doesn't open the door. Hopefully it doesn't snowball into anything else. But we're gonna have to wait and see, bro.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
We just looking at each other like, oh, it's on me. All right, it's on me. Well, then let it go. All right, so recently, this is an article that you introduced to me. Jaden Smith came out and said that his mother, Jada, introduced the family to psychedelic drugs. What's your thoughts on that, Sticks?
Man, so Jada,
I feel like I already know where you're gonna go with this.
Well, I mean, first of all, let me explain what psychedelics is. First of all, because I read in an article, it says that psychedelic drugs are a group of substances that change or enhance sensory perceptions, thought processes, and energy levels. These substances are known as hallucinogenic drugs or simply hallucinogens. They come in different forms, ranging from chemicals such as LSD to plants like the peyote. So,
is that a mushroom?
Yes.
The peyote? Okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the peyote is a mushroom. So Jada has been doing a lot over the past couple of years. From, the whole entanglement thing to just putting her whole relationship on blast and talking on her red table talk about a lot of personal stuff within her family. This never came up, but a lot of personal things. And it doesn't surprise me, honestly, because if you think about it, and maybe this was this is just speculation. I'm not saying that this is what happened, but whenever they were talking on the Red Table Talk about the whole situation with her and August Alsina, they mentioned that he was sick, right? They mentioned that he was sick, and they were trying to help him get better, try to help him get healthy, try to help him get back on the right path in life. And whenever I saw this article by Jaden, and I was like, is that how they were trying to help him? Like give him these psychedelics, like to kind of help him out or whatever. And if that was the route that they took, then they kind of helped him because he got better. Like he started looking better. He started making music again. He started getting back to himself. But at one point, August was down and out. So and they tried to help him out, and she just kind of had this entanglement with them, and she wouldn't. So she's been wilding here recently. And this doesn't surprise me that Jaden said that that she introduced the whole family to psychedelic drugs, and he said it was a good thing, because from what I read, psychedelics aren't necessarily addicting drugs. They just make you, sometimes they make you incoherent and make you see visions and hallucinations, and they make you see sound, and it's like a lot of different wow shit that you see. I've never in my life done anything like this. I don't want to, but Jaden said it was a good thing for the family because siblings fight, and the psychedelics help them work through different troubles and disagreements that they had within the family. So if it helped, then cool. But it's one of those things where it's like, was hallucinogens really the way to do that? What you think, D'Lo?
So I think on the surface, it makes Jada look very bad, crazy, makes her look unfit as a parent. And if you want to go to the things that have happened between her and Will Smith, it also makes her look like she's not fit to be married as well. Because when you think about it, how can she introduce drugs to her children and not be concerned with open Pandora's box to other drugs and other experiences that they can have.
Right.
You and I are both parents, and I don't think I can engage myself in any of that type of activity. And I also don't think I also worry about the dangers of me introducing that to them, and then they're thinking it's cool, and then they go and overdose or whatever the case may be. Like you said, but you mentioned that the hallucinogen drugs aren't seen as being addictive. But it's not just that; it's just them, engaging in that type of stuff with other individuals, and then something else happens, or some other drug is slipped in with whatever they have, and fentanyl is being talked about amongst America with kids overdosing on that. So I can't fathom me introducing a drug to my children, and then they thinking it's cool, and then they go and do something else. I mean, my mind firstly goes to there. A fictional example of that, and again, I know you don't watch TV, but I know you did watch this at one point in time, is Power.
Yeah.
And how Ghost tried to deter Tariq from living the drug life or being in the drug game, and that ultimately got Ghost killed.
Right.
Supposedly, if you're a part of the Power universe, you know why I say supposedly. However, Tasha, Tariq's mother, tried to keep him close to her and tried to keep him safe and let him learn the drug game, but with her guidance. And that almost got Tariq killed. So, I know that's a fictional example, but it's an example of how you can think that you're doing right by introducing or showing your offspring the way to do things, and it just completely backfires against you.
100%, man. And the article that I read was saying that there was a difference between tolerance and addiction. And they were saying that people usually build a tolerance for psychedelics, but not an addiction to psychedelics, because a lot of psychedelics are natural things like shrooms and, things of that nature. But it also listed a bunch of effects of psychedelics. And I'm going to go through them real quick. Altered perception of time. Okay. Difficulty communicating clearly with others. Hallucinations such as feeling sensations, hearing sounds, and or seeing images that aren't real. Heightened awareness or understanding, increased energy, lack of ability to think rationally, mixed sensory experiences, nausea, spiritual experiences, and vivid sensory experiences. So, of course, things like LSD and ecstasy and shrooms are some of these things that psychedelics are some of the psychedelics that people usually take in. But just like D'Lo said, man, I couldn't see a point where I would actually introduce my daughter to any drugs. You know what I'm saying? And that, and if she goes through her life and she has lived experiences where she's presented something like that, and she, I would just kind of explain to her why that's not good for her, what the ramifications are of taking those things. Because once she grows up and she's out of my house, or she's a grown woman at that point, she's going to have lived experiences, and she may dabble into some things. Hopefully not no crazy stuff, but at the same time, at that point, she's going to have those lived experiences. But I would try to make sure that the way I'm teaching her now and the way that I'm pushing her forward would push her away from any drugs, anything, period. You know what I'm saying? So it just and just like D-Lo said, it just makes it seem like she's unfit as a woman at this point. But a lot of people will take it a different way and say that, it's not that serious, and psychedelics aren't addicting and things of that nature. But for some parents, like myself, I'm just speaking for myself, I don't see myself putting my kids in that situation.
Yeah. And so the reason I said on the surface, it seems like she's all of those characteristics that I mentioned, because I took a deeper dive into actually all of it. And, we grew up in the Bible Belt.
Right.
So
100%.
Our parents were more conservative with what they allowed us to do because their parents were conservative in what they allowed them to do. So it just trickled down. But had this been a couple of years ago, I think this story would have been way bigger than what it is. Because more people would not be as open to psychedelic drugs as they are now. And recently, there have been studies that have come out in favor of psychedelics and 100%. How they can help. They can help you do a number of things. One of them was receive new information. The other was become smarter. I don't know how, but become smarter, become fitter, more creative, and also be more self-aware. So, and this is, while taking these psychedelic drugs, is what all of this can help you do. So to me, I feel like maybe Jada knew something that we didn't know, and was ushering her family into a higher level of whatever the case may be. Yeah. And so with all of this going on with her and Will, with the entanglements that they talked about, with just her red table talk, and then also we talked about Will slapping Chris and all that. Maybe this was, her saying, "All right, we need to rise above all of this, and this will help." I don't know. I'm not defending Jada.
Rise above is crazy.
I'm not defending
all pun intended. All pun intended.
Elevate.
It's like Drake said, elevate.
Listen, I'm not defending Jada in no means. I'm just presenting the information that I saw, and pleading the opposite end of the case for why Jada may have introduced. Because even Jaden said it helped their family to gather new information and understanding of where each other were in their lives. And he said siblings fight, and it helps them get on the same page. But again, I'm not defending Jada because I still don't quite understand it, and I don't think I would ever introduce my family to any of that. Whether the kids dive into that when they get older, hopefully they'll feel comfortable enough to come to me and talk to them about it, and I can give them my opinion. But to introduce that to them, it's not in my wheelhouse.
Nah, facts. And just to kind of piggyback off of what D-Lo said about, some of the benefits of taking psychedelics, they also said that it helps you with PTSD, depression, things of that nature too. So, I watch a YouTuber that just lost his brother, and he said that psychedelics helped him get over helped him grieve and helped him, go through that process. So, hopefully, I guess there's some benefit to it. And like you said, there's been plenty of studies to back it. So, who knows what it is? I don't see myself ever doing it, but it's also helping people. It's helping people.
Yeah, it's also legal in your neck of the woods too. Oregon, Colorado. I think California is thinking of legalizing psychedelic drugs. So
We're gonna see where that goes. We're gonna see where that
Yeah.
goes. But moving on to the next topic, bro. ESPN has been making a lot of layoffs here recently, and some of our favorite sportscasters have been fired, so to speak. So, D-Lo, how do you feel about these people getting laid off at ESPN, bro?
I mean, we certainly can't think that the media industry is any different from any other industry there is, or even us that work a 9 to 5. We certainly can't think that, right?
Right.
Late last year and early this year, there were mass layoffs all across the country in various industries. We didn't really see that with our media companies. However, it's now catching up. And I mentioned to you earlier this week, I saw this coming. I mean, at some point in time, it had to catch up with these individuals as well, or with these companies, these media companies as well. You just don't typically see the on-air personalities being affected too much. But ESPN, or I should say Disney, is they're a widespread company. They have people all over the place. So you're going to see the people that we feel like we know be affected by this. I just think it was telling. It was at some point in time it had to happen because they're, like I said, they are a big company. They have probably honestly some unneeded coverage in certain industries or certain sports that they have. They just have a wide net of on-air personalities that are there. So, I mean, it's unfortunate. Honestly, it is very unfortunate that
it is.
These individuals have lost or been laid off, but everybody's going through it right now.
For sure.
How you feel about it?
I mean, it definitely sucks, man. I mean, and just like D'Lo mentioned, Disney was doing cuts. Now, ESPN did say that their cuts were unrelated from the 7,000 people that Disney had laid off. They're planning to lay off, and they said it was unrelated from that. But some of our favorite sportscasters, man, like your Max Kellermans of the world, Susie Colbert, Todd McShay, Jalen Rose, who was really doing really well, Keyshawn Johnson, who really just got into the sportscasting space maybe a few years back. So it was people who had been in the game for 27 years, like Susie Colbert, and people who had been a couple of years in, like your Keyshawn Johnson. So it wasn't anything that was, that had to do with performance. They're just making cuts for real. And just to kind of read a little bit of an excerpt from the article that I read on Deadline News was, ESPN said, given the current environment, ESPN has determined it necessary to identify some additional cost savings in the area of public-facing commentator salaries, and that process has begun. This exercise will include a small group of job cuts in the short term and an ongoing focus on managing costs when we negotiate individual contract renewals in the months ahead. This is an extremely changing process involving individuals who have had tremendous impact on our company. These are difficult decisions based more on overall efficiency than merit. Will help us meet our financial. So it was a financial thing that they were making these cuts. It had nothing to do with their performance. It had nothing to do with their merit or their character. They really just trying to cut back on bread, and they're trying to make sure that they keeping their profit line, good again, keeping it staying in the green. So that's exactly what it is.
I 100%. Did I cut you off?
No, you good. I was finished.
Okay, yeah, my fault if I did. But yeah, so I 100% agree with that. It was focused more so on contracts because, like, I think I read Steve Young was affected, and
he was,
and so it's focused on contracts and needle movers. And the reason I mentioned Steve Young is because I don't know Steve Young's contract, but I can imagine that he required a bigger contract than, let's say, or not even Susie Colbert, just because she's been seasoned. She's been in the game for 27 years. She's been with, so she may have started out with a small contract, but it's probably blossomed or bloomed into a bigger contract now.
Agreed.
But Steve Young's contract, just stepping into ESPN and for who he is, probably was a lot more for a first year analyst or whatever his title was than Joe Schmo coming from Syracuse Communication School and stepping into being an analyst at ESPN. 100%. So I 100% agree that it was all cost savings and that they were worried about the contracts and the value, as well as I mentioned needle movers. If somebody has a big following, because I don't think, while it is Steve Young, everybody knows who Steve Young is. I don't think he has a real big following when it comes to his football analysis or whatever sport he's talking about. Whereas, which is why some of them are surprising. Jalen Rose, Max Kellerman. I'm not sure about Max
Even
Kellerman.
Todd McShay too, bro. I was surprised
Todd
by that
McShay,
one.
right? Yeah, but I feel like in that regard with Todd McShay, what's the other cat name? The slick hair. I can't even think of his name now.
I forget too, but yeah,
The
I know you talk
recruiter.
about. Yeah, I know you talk about.
He does the drafts and stuff.
With Todd. Yep.
He overshadows Todd McShay.
He does. Agree. He does.
Right. So I feel like he would be ESPN's needle mover, whereas Todd McShay, he can. I also think, like, with the Todd McShay issue, he went through something a year ago where he wasn't quite looking like himself, and so he might have missed some shows or
Mel Kiper,
missed
that's his name.
Mel Kiper, there you go. Yeah, Mel Kiper is the guy that overshadows Todd McShay, but he missed some shows or whatever. I don't know for sure if this is all allegations coming from me. Well, I shouldn't say allegations, but speculation coming from me about Todd McShay. But he was going through something a couple years ago, which may have affected what he goes through now. But I mentioned to you earlier this week that you have to have. It seems like you have to have a big following, whether that be with any job that you have or you're going for nowadays, so that people can, that's kind of what determines your worth, which is really not the case. But especially in content creation and being in front of the camera, you're going to have that big following. If not, those individuals are going to say, well, you only have this amount of followers. This is what you're worth to us, when you're probably can get in. If in the old days, you probably could get in, work yourself good enough to where you can prove your worth, not irregardless of the amount of followers that you have.
Exactly, man. And it's crazy that you said that, man, because here come the internet again, taking over. You know what I'm saying? Your perceived popularity is what gets you in the door when it comes to broadcasting, especially from like ex-NFL players like your Steve Youngs and like your excuse me, like your Jalen Roses or your Keyshawn Johnsons, or you know what I'm saying? Those people have a following before they even come into the broadcast booth. Same thing is going to happen with Tom Brady whenever he gets his first broadcast contract. It's going to be crazy because he has that perceived following, and people are going to listen to what he has to say because he's probably the GOAT quarterback of all time. So, but it's gonna suck, man, because I like Todd McShay and Mel Kiper whenever you're talking about the NFL draft and these guys coming out of college and watching, watching game day on Saturdays, watching college football, and it's gonna suck not to have Mel Kiper right there, not Mel Kiper, but Tom McShay right there on the set with them. It's gonna suck, but we're gonna have to get used to the new guys that's coming in, and whoever they say had this perceived popularity, and kind of see where it goes, man. But shout out to all of them that got laid off by ESPN. You guys were amazing. And I love watching y'all, every night on Sports Center, or Saturdays on Game Day, or your individual shows that you had. I loved watching y'all, and hopefully everything goes well in the future.
Yeah, the last thing I'll say about that and about this situation is it would be irresponsible of me not to really uplift those individuals, the names that we don't know, those 7,000 that were released by
100%.
Disney and ESPN, because the ones that we do know, they're more than likely be okay. They have those big contracts to where they have some type of cushion. We don't know what those 7,000, we don't know who those 7,000 individuals are. And we don't know what type of money that they have or were making in order to keep themselves afloat. I mean, it's just a difficult time just in general for majority or a good portion of the country now, because there are being so many layoffs across the country in the various industries. So I want to make sure that I mention those individuals. Thoughts and prayers are going out to you all as well.
100%, bro.
All right, so the gambling, sports gambling. We talked about this a couple weeks ago, and how it is just, we're seeing more and more individuals, especially in NFL. Can't talk all of a sudden, Sticks. Let me get it back together. We're seeing more and more individuals in the NFL being suspended because of sports gambling. What's going on, bro?
Man, so here recently, dog, like 7 NFL players and some coaches have gotten suspensions. Some of them year-long suspensions, some of them 6-game suspensions for sports gambling, and some of them betting on their own teams, and some of them just betting on NFL games in general. And when we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, I said I didn't see a problem with these players betting on other games as long as it's not their team. And I kind of still feel the same way, but I can kind of reading through the article, I can kind of understand why the NFL says no NFL betting, period. You know what I'm saying? Because it's gonna come to a point where, and I'm pretty sure D'Lo is gonna make gonna make this point. The integrity of the game is gonna be compromised at some point. But it's still to the point where, like, if I'm not playing on this team, if I'm playing for the Cowboys and I see the Atlanta Falcons and the Commanders going against each other, I can make a parlay or I can, bet on the game because I have no bearing on the outcome of this game. You know what I'm saying? Just me having my own personal character just to bet on the game honestly and just say, this is what I'm betting on this game. I should be able to make money off that because sports betting in a lot of states is legal. But there comes a point where, some things could be changed. What you think, D-Lo? Go ahead and make that point, bro. Make that point.
Yeah, I mean, you already made it for me. I definitely feel like I feel the opposite of you when it comes to the sports gambling and the individuals that are involved with it, because we like sports because it's supposed to be the true essence of competitiveness as well as love of the game. Now we know when you get to professional sports, that love kind of diminishes a little bit because you're now getting a contract, you're now getting paid for it, and there are other factors that build into why that love kind of diminishes a little bit. But when it comes to the essence of sports, it is the true, it is competitiveness. And so for that to be taken away could be pretty damaging to who we are as a country, so to speak. And so I feel like players in professional sports, they're making a sacrifice right now. Mm-hmm. They should they should make a sacrifice right now is what I should say. You're making a lot of money to play, and this might need to be a topic for us at some point too. As the NFL, professional athletes or entertainers make so much money, why is that? And anyway, we need to talk about that though, and I'll tell you offline why we need to talk about that.
Makes sense. I can see where you're going with that. I ain't gonna lie, I can see where you're going with it. But go ahead.
Yeah, but to get back to the point though. Where was I at? Actually, I lost
making
my
a sacrifice. You're making so much money. You
making a sacrifice. Thank you. Thank you, my brother. So you make that sacrifice for a short period of time to make all of this money. There are certain things that you won't be able to do. Like if you play basketball, you can't go skydiving. You can't ride motorcycles, so on and so forth.
Roller coasters, shit like that. All the thrill seeking things.
It's like little stuff that you wouldn't expect. You're like, it's a human being. Let them go live their life. No, they can't do it. And I feel like sports gambling is a part of that. And the reason I feel like that, Sticks, you said, I don't play for this team. I have no bearings on the outcome of the game. I should be able to bet on that game. There are friends in the NFL. There are friends amongst each other, right? Mm-hmm. Let's remove the NFL. Let's remove professional sports out of it. Mm-hmm. Let's just say me and you. If you are a part of something that I can bet on, you have a bearing in the outcome of it. What I can say is I can hit you up right before or at some point in time and say, yo, I'm betting on XYZ. I need you to make sure that either happens or it doesn't happen. And if it does, I'm going to win this much. I can give you this amount of money, or I can buy you this gift and give it to you at this time so it can't be easily tracked, whatever the case is.
Right.
Say less, my dog. I got you. Right. Mm-hmm. In the NFL or with sports gambling nowadays, and I know I'm going on for a while, but I want to drive this point home.
Do you think?
With sports gambling now, you can bet on the tiniest thing. You could bet on what color the Gatorade is going to be. You can bet on whatever
Who
it
gonna
is. You
sing the
can bet on
national
that.
anthem and the Super? You
You know
can
what I
bet on
mean?
a bunch of things.
You can bet on the smallest thing on the field. You could bet on who's going to make the next catch, what side the ball's going to go to, all different things. The smallest thing. So if I'm betting on, all right, the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl are going to win the coin toss and they're going to receive. If I know my dog is the captain, he's the one that's speaking, I can say, yo, y'all win the coin toss. I need you to say that you going to receive the ball. And I know a lot of people might look at that like, man, that's never going to happen. But you talking about money being
Money.
on the table now. We're not talking about any major outcome like, yo, I need y'all to lose by 20 points or I need you to lose by 3 points. That's hard to do. But little stuff like that definitely could happen, man. So I
I'm
feel
telling
like
you.
the integrity of sports. And one of my friends mentioned this to me and I didn't think about it. He was like, "Man, I don't really care about I don't cheer for any particular person. I don't care about any outcomes in the game because gambling is legal now."
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of broke my spirit. It's like, dang, I can't really talk to him about this because he don't really care about it. But then I started thinking, I was like, damn, he actually got a point. Like anytime you put money on the line, you can't really say your full faith in the outcome or what that is or what it's representing is 100% because you now it's like, well, where's the money going? You got to always follow the money. Same with NCAA. Now that the NIL is there and all that different type of stuff, you can't really say that those kids actually love the game anymore.
Yeah, and that's a huge point, bro. Because the integrity of the game, if the integrity of the game is being compromised, bro, it's one of those things where it's like, damn, did he drop that ball for a reason? Did he throw that man was wide open in the end zone? Did he throw that ball out of bounds? Did he throw that pass wild for a reason? Like, did that guard miss that tackle for a reason and get the quarterback sacked? Like, it's so many things that can happen with sports betting now that it's like you gotta think. Not you thinking you're not thinking that you're watching the game for the love of the sport no more. It's like damn, he was wide open. How did he drop that? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, but it could
Especially with
be
the type of skills that players have nowadays.
people in the
The
top
things that they're able to do.
1%, bro. The top 1% of athletes go to the NFL. Like that's the top 1% of football players in the entire world go to the NFL. And you mean to tell me that you the best of the best and you out here dropping wide open passes? And like, and me and DeLon talked about this earlier in the week. Like, if you can bet on, if I'm playing for the Cowboys and DeLon can bet on me having 4 catches in the game and I can't get no more than 4, and he loses money, who's to say that I ain't gonna help my boy win this $1 million and he gonna give me
Right.
$200K? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right. You know what I mean?
so
And I gotta
that
get you to say D-Lo instead of DeLon, but it's all good.
you know, bro, we've been knowing each other for over 2 decades, bro. I'm sorry, you're my brother. You know I love you, bro. But no, but it's just crazy how everything has an outcome, especially whenever sports betting. Like D-Lo said, the smallest things you can bet on now, and it's just hard to have that integrity in the game now, and it's kind of crazy, bro. It's actually kind of wild.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, I know a lot of people will hear that or see what I said as, that's not really anything that can happen, or that's not really messing with the integrity of the game. But when you open that door, as we mentioned about earlier, the door being open and those loopholes being presented,
100%.
then people will jump through those loopholes and go to something that you didn't think about being betted on. And now it's like, well, you have a full-fledged issue on your hand when it comes to the betting aspect in sports.
For sure, man. And hopefully, hopefully these guys kind of learn from these examples moving forward. So, I mean, people are getting whole year bans from the NFL, and you have to actually like get reinstated to do what you love and what your job is. Like, so hopefully these guys and these suspensions and these bans are taken seriously. So now guys moving forward won't have to, hopefully it's a learning experience for everybody in the NFL for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. But moving on to the next topic, man. So the NCAA is looking into, not saying they're doing it now, but looking into removing cannabis from their list of banned substances moving forward. D-Lo, how you feel about this, bro?
So my initial thought was, if this is passed, I'm interested to see how college teams as well as coaches manage the players.
Mm-hmm.
Because, we said earlier, our parents were conservative, their parents were conservative.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, college coaches are mm, like they want the kids to have fun. They want their players to have fun. They want them to be able to indulge in other things outside of athletics. But for the most part, they want them to be all about what they really came to school for, which is whatever respective sport that they're playing.
Right, right.
So the reason I'm interested in how the colleges manage this is because some players are going to go overboard if this is not being tested anymore. They're going to be high all the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Their state is going to be altered continuously, and
Yep.
so you're not going to really know what person you're going to have on a daily basis. If he's high, this is how he acts. If he's not high, this is how he acts.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like that's going to be a key thing to keep in mind or to look at if this rule does pass. Is how do colleges and coaches plan to manage the players when this is passed? Also, will this be they can only have a negative THC substance appearance in their drug test if they have a prescription for it, like they do with painkillers that they have.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's a whole lot of factors that you have to look in and see how they manage this if it does if it does come into full effect. But I'm interested to see and curious to see how they manage that.
I think it's going to be and what I predict is it's going to be something where you're going to have some kind of prescription for it. I mean, but if not, if they're going to let them do it, especially in the states that it's legal. So what I read in my article that I looked up is that what the NCAA wants to try to do is they want to increase the nanograms per millimeter, which is the threshold for the THC in your blood system. Initially, it was 35 nanograms per millimeter. Now the World Anti-Doping Agency has it at 150 nanograms. So almost tripling or five times the amount basically is what they're trying to move the needle up to. And I mean, there's a lot of benefits to cannabis and things of that nature because it is natural, and they said that it reduces inflammation, it helps you sleep, it makes you more aware, and things of that nature. But there's a lot of side effects where it damages your lungs, your motor skills might be impaired, and things of that nature. And for you to be a high level athlete, those are some things that you're gonna need. You're gonna need your stamina, so your lungs can't be compromised. Your motor skills gonna have to be intact, so that way you can do your job out there on the field and run your routes crisp, or make sure you're making the right reads and you in the right zone drops and things of that nature. So they're trying to. I don't know if they're trying to like take it out of their banned substance list. They're just trying to alter it a little bit to where it's not to where it's not as strict as it was in the previous years. So that's what I think is what they're trying to do is to kick that nanogram up a little bit to where they can still where the players can use but not go overboard. But just like you
Yeah.
said, man, it's kind of interesting to see how this is going to be governed within these organizations as far as the universities itself, just to kind of see where this goes. I think personally, I would go on the fence and say it's a good thing because the kids are going to do it anyway. You know what I'm saying? And they're going to try to figure out ways to get around the testing and things of that nature. So they're going to do it anyway. So if you if you make it a little bit less strict, either they're going to go away from using it or they're just going to use it a lot more smarter. And just like,
Mhm.
but D'Lo did say that some kids are going to abuse, and some people have that personality. Some guys have that personality, but hopefully, they're smarter with it to where they won't abuse it and they use it the way it's supposed to be used. And hopefully, it's a good outcome from them actually getting this threshold a little bit heightened. So we'll have to see where that goes.
Yeah. I think one key thing that you said in your statement was that some states it's legal. I think, and that was a great point that you brought up, because I think it will, if it does pass, I think it will help in recruiting, because obviously it's legal in certain states, and certain states it's not. So I feel like we'll see a spike in the recruiting or the attendance of high profiled athletes, or high school athletes, going to these various schools or universities where in the state that they reside in, to smoke marijuana or to participate or consume marijuana or THC products is legal. And so that hurts the SEC, because the majority of those states, it's not legal. Now they'll find some way to get around it or just sweep it under the rug. But I definitely think that the recruiting, it'll help certain states in recruiting when if it is passed by the NCAA. And I read that they're looking to remove it completely. So I mean,
Oh,
I
did you?
guess
Okay.
it's conflicting information.
Well, I don't know if it's conflicting. I think it's just different sides of the coin that they're trying to figure out how to best implement this whole rule.
Yeah.
Because if they do remove it completely, then cool. If they
But
do try to, go ahead.
I was going to say, if you this is, and that's why I said I think it helps in recruiting, because if you remove it completely, then but it's still illegal in this, or not, is frowned upon. I'll say frowned upon in the state, because a lot of states is not legal, but it's not. It's not a criminal. You won't get any type of
Yeah, it's not a
felony or
criminal offense,
misdemeanor
right?
for. Yeah, it's not a criminal offense for it anymore, but it's not legal. So if it's not completely legal in the state, then how do you regulate that across the board? You see what I'm saying?
Well, I think they still keep their drug testing in place, but like I said, it was one of those things where at now, if you're over 35 nanograms millimeter or
Yeah,
milliliter, I'm sorry, then you are suspended, or you get, you have some reprimand for that. Now, if they
yeah,
raise it almost five times that amount to 150 nanograms per milliliter in your
yeah,
bloodstream, then it kind of gives them a little bit more leeway to say, okay, I'm doing this, but I have a more of a threshold to be a little bit smarter with how much I do. You know what I'm saying? Or for the ones that are only at 75, I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna be straight. So I mean, but but that is a good point though. Is that a lot of I want to go on. I'm not sure about this. I'm about 90% sure that there's about 20 states at least that it's legal in the US and the nation. So that may say, okay, shoot, instead of going to Alabama, I'm gonna go to Wazoo. You know what I'm
hmm
saying? I'm gonna go to Washington State, because they're already, they didn't necessarily legalize it, or they took it off the banned substance, and it's legal up there in Washington, so I can do that regardless and not get in trouble. You know what I'm saying? But if I'm going to
yeah,
Alabama, even though it's not on the banned substance list anymore for the NCAA, I can still technically get in trouble for doing this because it's not legal in Alabama. So I'm gonna just go ahead
right,
and go up to Washington State or UW, and I'm gonna be able to smoke as much as I want to, because I can't get in trouble for it no more. And it's legal. I can do it out in the streets and do whatever I want to do now. So that
right.
is a good point, D-Lo. I didn't think about that as I was doing my research, but that could bear a lot of different high level recruits going to different states, because this is no longer banned and it's legal in that state. So that's a good point.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, but you'll definitely, if that does happen, and just SEC rules football, the year after year somebody from the SEC wins the championship. That conference is always stacked. If that rule does pass, and if you do start to see different recruits going to other
Different
schools
Power Five
because
schools.
of that, I guarantee you will see those schools lobby to have it legalized in those states, or you'll see a lot more money being paid out in NILs from those kids that attend those schools.
True shit. That's a good point, D-Lo. That's a good point,
Yeah.
bro.
All right, man. So we're gonna wrap up today's show talking about something that I don't think many other podcasts would talk about. We're gonna talk about how OU, the Oklahoma Sooners softball team, is getting backlash. I read for winning too much, Sticks red for the fashion in which they win. Sticks, what in the world is going on with this backlash here?
So, we're one of the only podcasts out there that talk a little bit more about women's sports than a lot of other podcasts do. And we want to see the women succeed 100%. We want to see them we do want to see them get paid more. We do want to see them express themselves on the field, on the court, et cetera, et cetera. Whenever I read this article, and I actually went and watched a 15-minute YouTube video on Oklahoma playing against the Tennessee Volunteers. And whenever I watched it, I can kind of see why some of the celebrations that they do for little things like if they get walked, if the batter gets walked, they'll slam the bat down and flex and okay, that's a little excessive. But like every single sport, men and women, if somebody hits a home run, they're going to celebrate at home base for that person that hit the home run. So there's some that were kind of excessive, but some that is like everybody does that. Now, what D-Lo read as far as them winning too much, bruh. We don't get participation trophies out here, dog. If you want to beat the Oklahoma Sooners women's softball team, bruh, get better. Recruit better. That's what I say, because it's like, ain't nobody saying that whenever Alabama football team was going on a run and they was a dynasty, you know what I'm saying, in the early 2000s, in the 2010s, they was winning all these championships and getting all the, bruh, there's no way that y'all are saying that these women are winning too much. There's no, because like, beat them then. Beat them. How about that? Beat them, because you're not going to get a second place trophy. If they going out here smacking everybody up, losing maybe one game a year, going on 50-game win streaks, then that means you need to do something better to beat these women. Because they're going to be flashy. They got the best recruits in the nation. They're going to win games. So that means either you need to coach better, you need to win games and get better. Period. I'm not going to sit here and bash Oklahoma for winning games. They might be a little excessive in their celebrations, but I'm not going to bash them for winning. They're winners. They're there to win games. You play to win the game. Like, you play to win the game. So if that's what they're doing, then win the game. Shout out to
Edwards.
Herman Edwards. Shout out Herman Edwards, bro. You play to win the game. So if you out there playing, play to win. Beat them. Period. What you think, D-Lo?
I mean, how do we? I don't really know what this. I don't even know what to say.
It's so crazy.
Because if we're talking about the fact that they win and they're getting backlash, it's like, what do you play the sport for? You play it to lose? No. What do you do? Why are you a part of the company that you're a part of? Because you want to be second place? No, you want to be a part of the best things possible in life. Everybody has that. I mean, you might adore the underdog here and there because they have proven that they can put together the recipe and know they have all the ingredients to beat the overachievers or to beat the more dominant team. But for the most part, we all like to be a part of winners. And so for this team to get backlash because they've won 6 national championships in the last 10 years and they've just broken the longest winning streak in softball in Division I history with 50 plus games,
51 games.
And then the way that they beat teams and the margin of victory and how they beat teams is, you want to be mad at that? What? Nobody was saying that when Miami back in the 2000s was pummeling teams. They didn't even have to score on offense because their defense was so good, and they still were winning by 14 plus points a game. Nobody said anything about that. Nobody was saying anything, as Sticks mentioned, as Alabama wins a championship, if not every year, every other year. Nobody said anything when Tom Brady and the Patriots was winning their championships. But for whatever reason, it's like the girls, I'm going to assume it's because they're women, that they have to act a certain way, or they have to allow, it has to be more widespread with the success that's given, so you don't damage other females' egos. I mean, if that's the case, then they shouldn't play. That's how I feel about it. I mean,
Exactly.
yeah, okay, yes, the celebrations that they do may be a bit excessive, but from what I know about college softball and baseball is that they do wild stuff in the dugouts to celebrate certain things.
Mm-hmm.
It's not on the field that it's not any on the field player that's bringing that attention to them. Now, I think OU softball may be a bit different, but
Mm-hmm.
they do some crazy chants. They do some crazy like celebrations and choreographed stuff in the dugouts or right outside of the dugouts when a home run happens, when somebody
Mm-hmm.
steals a base, when a strikeout happens.
Mm-hmm.
So why should we have these girls act any different?
Exactly, man. And it's like, and it goes back to the whole Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark thing. It's like women are supposed to have that same bravado that men have. Like men are looked at as they're supposed to be aggressive. They're supposed to have that charisma. They're supposed to have that spunk about them. But women can't be the same thing on the court. Like you have to have that competitive nature. I don't care if it's a woman or a man. If you gonna talk your shit, talk your shit. If you do something good, floss that. You know what I'm saying? Like if you get walked, I mean, getting walked is kind of crazy if you just slam the bat
Yeah,
down the
yeah,
flex. But at the same time, it's
yeah,
like you did something good, so you gonna get you gonna get some kind of reward for that. So it's like I personally don't care about the celebrations myself. Are they a little
mhm.
excessive? Maybe, but have that bravado. Bring that kind of eye to women's sports because there's not a lot of people in general watching women's sports. You can see it with the WNBA. You see it with softball because college baseball takes precedence over everything around this time of the year. And baseball in
Mhm.
general takes precedence over this time of the year. Some of the men's sport, softball is kind of overlooked, so they have to do something to kind of bring that attention because that's how they're gonna make their money. Because more eyes means more viewers, which means more money. So it's like you got to
The
you got to be able to do that. Go ahead. What you about to say?
the funny thing is, you said women's sports aren't really watched like that. The sports that are watched, I hate to say this, but the sports that are watched for women is the ones that reveal their figures. And even those aren't really watched like that. So volleyball is watched.
Volleyball.
Gymnastics is what? How does? I mean, listen,
Yeah.
I love gymnastics, but how does college gymnastics get on television?
Because
I shouldn't say that, but really,
but
realistically,
the
how
the,
many
re- the reason
people?
why that is because it has a lot to do with the Olympics. Because a lot
Right.
of
Okay.
yeah, it
And
has a lot to
Title
do with the
IX and all
Olympics.
that stuff.
Title
Yeah.
IX, yeah, that too, but it has a lot to do with the
Yeah.
Olympics. But I was about to say, as far as volleyball, and I'm glad you brought volleyball up, is that every time women do something good in volleyball, they have some kind of chant, some kind of cheer that they do, but nobody talks
Right.
about volleyball. They have a different
Yeah.
thing for whenever somebody gets an ace, when somebody gets a block, when somebody spikes, whenever anything good that happens in volleyball, they have a different chant that the whole team does at one time. Even the ones not even in the rotation do the chant.
Exactly.
And it's
Exactly.
loud, and it's obnoxious, and it's cool. I like it. When I go watch Sam play volleyball, they have a chant for everything. And
Hmm.
it's just that camaraderie with the team and that bravado that women have to have because they're competitive too. Just because they're women, I mean they can't be competitive. They can't have some kind of arrogance to them. Let them have that. Let them have that, and don't bash them because of the fashion in which they win and the way that they celebrate. Fuck that. Go out and beat them. Go out and beat
Yep.
them, and then you can have that same spunk about you and say that you broke you beat the team that had the longest win streak in America. Period.
Yep.
Just go out there and win. You play to win the game. So go beat them then. So you can have something to talk about. Period. Stop being some of these
Yes,
punks out here in
sir.
the world, man. Some of these punks out here in the world, bro. But
Yes, sir.
anyway,
Yes,
I'm done
sir.
with it, bro. Get me riled
All
up,
right.
cuz.
All right, my boy Sticks. Yo, I mean, what is it? What episode is this? It's been a
31.
long day for me, man.
Ain't it
I can't.
31? Ain't it
I
31?
think it's 31. It's 31.
Yeah,
Yeah,
episode
it's
31,
31.
bro.
Yeah, it's been a long day for me, man. But yeah, it's been episode 31 in the books, boy.
Yes, sir.
So this has been Too Complex. We hope that you
Mm-hmm.
enjoyed today's show. You can find us on all of your major podcast streaming services. Please make sure that you subscribe, leave us a comment or rate it if you feel the need to do that. Also, make sure that you subscribe to all of our social media channels at Too Complex Pod is our handle on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. And also remember, if it ain't too complex, it ain't complex at all. With that being said, we'll catch y'all next time. Salute.
Salute.